I recently made a video talking about all the additional skills that you should be using in Warpath when it comes to ground units. And I had a lot of comments asking if I can redo this video, but for the air units. So let's jump in and do the air unit additional skill video. As I said, I was surprised how many people asked this for the air because there really aren't that many options. And if I'm honest with you guys, if you have, for example, a full set of 6 officers with your air units, it is not possible to realistically... Actually, there is a new officer that's just come out now, so maybe it's possible. And of course, if you have the exclusive lounge, it's definitely possible. But as a free-to-play player, I'm not sure if it's physically possible to actually fully make your skills. So let me have a look here. As we know, I currently have 5 officers have it on. This officer is training because, you know, I physically don't have the ability to. So if I remove this now very quickly and we go here and we just add on this skill. Now, if I add on that skill there and I go over here, now I think, yes, because of the new officer, there is now the ability to have all of them done. But before that new officer came out, you was guaranteed to be missing one because there was no other option available. It was physically impossible, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was impossible to make it. So that's kind of going to be changing the entire situation now, guys, because you can officially have, as a free-to-play player, 6 officers with additional training. So this is going to be a very important video on how you want to set things up. Now, as I mentioned, if you was before, for example, having exclusive lounge officers, let's just say you have these ones available. I mean, even this one here, technically speaking, I had available, and as you can tell, I'm currently training him. I don't have any skills with him. So even if I didn't have him, it would have been physically impossible to do. So yeah, it's kind of lucky that there's, as a free-to-play player now... Wait, I'm trying to do the math, guys. I think even as a free-to-play player, let's say I don't have this officer unlocked, right? Because, you know, I don't have him leveled up. I mean, I got him to... I used the 10 statues in the exclusive lounge drinks once to awaken him. Not awaken him, to unlock him. And that was it. This was right at the beginning of the game when he first came out. So let's just say, for example, here, I don't have... You know what we're going to do to make this entire thing easier? I'm going to quickly just switch back to my offense setup very quickly. So if I go to 9.1 offense, okay, and have a look now, because it's going to be a lot easier for me to track it. This was my setup beforehand. Yeah, I was using this skill. So let's just say I don't have this skill right here. Even then, I still couldn't do it fully because of the way the skill training worked. I could have used one of these skills here, but yeah, it wouldn't have been possible without this. So I guess at the end of the day, it just goes to show that we're only just now beginning to fully be able to, as a free-to-play player, get, you know, the full skill training as an officer, which is kind of cool. So let's jump in. Now, with regards to this officer here, Silver Comet, he is still a very good officer for a Gen 1. Very, very good. A lot of people still use him. As a free-to-play, the best output of damage is Silver Comet with this officer here, Sky Jockey. Now, I don't have her. I know you're probably thinking I'm crazy. I just, at the moment, kind of waiting for a new officer. Maybe I should get her. I'm thinking about it, guys. But at the moment, I'm just using her skill training. So, with that being said, when it comes to skill training for Silver Comet, it really could go one of 2 ways. Now, he does have a nice intercept buff, but again, intercept is only going to be for the primary start of the fight. Whereas when it comes to crit damage, this is probably going to be your best option with him personally. Having that crit chance is definitely going to be nice to have. Firepower is honestly not really worth having, and it's only for 4 seconds after you dodge. So again, he's a great officer, but some of the skills are lacking a little bit, especially with today's standards. So for me, I would go with the special when it comes to him. Moving on, we have got Bladewing. Now, Bladewing is a very, in my opinion, underrated officer. Yes, he's not as strong as some officers, but do you know what it is, guys? I think it is the fact that he has the 4 seconds slowdown of 50%, and it's a 75% chance to hit it. I genuinely believe that it's the most crucial part. This thing here, if this triggers on you as you're trying to run away, just say goodbye to your jets. Because that's the thing, guys. I genuinely believe that maybe if he didn't have that ability, he might not be as good. But he does have it. And the reality is, because he has that ability, he's still a good officer. You know, he does a decent amount of damage and stuff. So with that being said, he has a firepower buff of 20% and intercept buff of 25%. He has damage of 20%, and he has a healing of 250 coefficient. Now, for me personally, guys, I think that this skill here, the damage intensity of 20% at all times, is going to be the best option. Because yes, 25% intercept is nice to have, but it's only going to last a little bit, and then you're left with just 20% firepower. So I think this one here is going to be your best option. Moving on to Eagle. Eagle is a very nice officer here, 20% damage, 50% intercept resilience, and then he also has the stability and damage. Now, don't get me wrong, the stability and damage is a nice amount. And again, intercept resilience, if you're on a defense fighter, this would be very, very good. But overall, guys, we love damage. So 20% damage is going to be my personal favorite when it comes to skill training. But let's be honest, guys, you're probably going to be using Lone Eagle instead of training him with skill damage. So moving on here, we have got Dawn Striker. Now, as you know, in this current setup, I don't actually use my bombers. I do, in fact, just simply use this. But when I am on, say, for example, gold 3, where I can actually actively use all 3 of my units at max level, that's when it will kick in. And of course, I can now physically change this setup. So I'm looking forward to, if I ever go back to gold 3, being able to change this around. But it will probably be staying gold 2 now permanently. So I could start using her skill training more in this situation. Now, for Dawn Striker, she has damage intensity 20%, firepower 40, and she has a shield coefficient of 900 for 2 seconds and could be triggered every 4 seconds. This skill here is nice to have, but when it comes to skill training, I think I'd rather just get the damage intensity of 20%. That's me personally, but she is an absolutely amazing officer, and most people will probably be using her. Moving on, we have got Nagarani. Now, Nagarani has the 20% when it comes to extra shielded people. She has HP and damage resist buff, and finally, she has the shield of 500. Now, me personally, it's always going to be this option here, 20% damage buff. And if the enemy has a shield on, they do an extra 20% while that shield is active. So 40% damage on shielded people and 20% damage at normal times. This is by far going to be the best skill training for her. Moving on, we have got Silver Fox. Silver Fox is an amazing officer. Now, he has a normal attack boost buff, and he has a damage resilience boost buff of normal attack, that is. He has HP buff of 30, damage resist 10%. He has intercept buff of 50%. So out of all of these, for example, if you're wanting to use only one skill on an offensive fighter, you're going to probably want to use the intercept of 50% because that's still a huge chunk and very nice. Furthermore, though, we have the normal damage buff, and we also have the normal attack resilience. Let's just say the thing you're skill training onto already has 2 offensive, and you need to have a sort of balanced skill. This will be a nice addition, but again, for me, this is going to be the sort of more priority when I'm seeing it. But guys, overall, as I said, he's someone you're going to want to be using probably more than training. Now, we're getting into the ones that are probably going to be more training sort of usage, but there are still some officers that are decent in certain situations. So, moving forward, we have got the Witcher. Now, the Witcher has, obviously, damage resist. She also has HP, and she has maneuverability. Out of all of these, the damage resist of 15%, it's standard, but it's going to be probably your best option in here. Some people might want the maneuverability, but overall, I do think just the pure damage resist is going to be a better option here. Now, we have got a damage intensity 10%, a damage resist 10%. We have got maneuverability 10, cruising speed 10, and finally, firepower of 40. So out of these options, this is by far amazing. On ground, this skill here is a luxury. So the fact that they have this in the air, it is a go-to. Definitely be using this in the air. It's going to be your #1 priority of skill training, if I'm honest with you. It's probably, out of all of this list, one of the best skills for skill training. Moving on, we have got Inferno. Now, Inferno has a 20% damage buff. He has a 40% increase coefficient for burning, which, again, this only applies if your officer deals burning in the first place. And then we also have a damage resist buff when being attacked by ground force troops in AA mode. So if you are bombing a ATGs, for example, ATG rallies, if you're bombing a light tank rally, then this would be a very decent skill to have in that situation, especially on a Vanguard bomber. As we know, Vanguard bombers do great damage to ATGs, and therefore it's kind of a priority if you're a Vanguard bomber to try and swoop in, take out the ATGs so that the Liberty bombers can come through and do a lot more damage to the other units. This will be a good skill for that in particular reason. But overall, if you are just trying to get some extra damage, this is going to be another great skill. 20% damage buff. Amazing. Moving on, we have got Wings of Glory. Very standard. We have got the damage intensity of 15%. It's basically your average damage intensity, but out of all of them, the firepower and the harass buff, it's going to be your best option. Damage intensity of 15%, because this is a situational thing, and then this here is obviously just firepower. It's not worth it. This can go on anything, and it's going to be your best overall option. Moving on, we have got Brisk Eagle. Now, Brisk Eagle, additional crit damage of 50%. Guys, I don't even need to go through the rest of them. This is going to be your best optional skill. 50% extra crit damage is going to be amazing, especially when paired on someone like Sky Jockey or on Silver Comet, which is where I have this skill. I'm going to show you guys the rest of the skills. We do have firepower 20%, and then we have cruise speed of 10%. So yeah, 100% guys is going to be the one you want. Moving on, we have got Heaven's Savior. Now, Heaven's Savior does have a nice intercept buff of 35%. This is what I'm personally using. He also has a 30% HP buff and a damage resist of 25% when attacking a base. So if you are a base bomber, this is a decent skill to have again, but it's very situational, and honestly, I'm personally using this on my fighter so that I can, of course, be able to have a bit more extra damage entering a fight. We have Golden Pixie, which a lot of people say is we're not going down the drama route. We're not going down the drama route. But yes, useless officer. Just want to add, we have here damage intensity 15%. Yeah, it's an okay skill. We have firepower buff 30%, and we have the stability buff of 20%. Now, personally, I do agree and do personally think that the damage intensity of 15% is a better skill. But at the time of building my setup, this was the only option available, that I needed a special skill. There wasn't another option really available. So cruise speed 10%, I'd rather have the stability of 20%. This option, cruising speed again. We had the harass, but it's for fighter, and I needed something for the bomber. The maneuverability, don't need it for my bomber. I could have gone for the maneuverability of 20, but I was already using her skill somewhere else. So yeah, it was basically my only option, hence why I went with this skill, just to slightly increase my damage. But I personally do think that this one is a little bit better, but depending on your setup, sometimes you just can't get the better option, and you do need to go for something that's just still going to be decent. So that's what we went with. Now, Sky Jockey, an amazing officer. Guys, I genuinely am thinking about awakening her. Here's my thought process, guys. I'm gonna be real with you. My thought process is I can awaken her and pair her with Silver Comet and have a very strong free-to-play offensive fighter. But the problem is, I really, really enjoy the ability of Blade Wing with slowing them down. The amount of people I'm chasing and just constantly slowing them down and actually fully killing them is so much more enjoyable for me with my playstyle, you know, being able to chase them and so forth. I really do like it. Now, if I was able to somehow get a third fighter, she would definitely, without a question, instantly be awoken. But currently, I don't have that ability. So maybe in the future at some point, she could come into play. But by then, there's probably going to be some newer and better officers. So I did take her intercept buff of 35%, because as we know, that's already a decent-ish skill, but she also offers 10% damage. Amazing. Now, moving forward, she has firepower 20, HP 20. It's okay, guys, but personally, although it's a balanced skill and balanced skills are rare, it's not that good. Moving forward, we've got the maneuverability of 20 and damage resist of 5. Again, it's not too bad, but personally speaking, it's not going to be as good as this. This is going to be your number one go-to for her training. Moving on, we have got El Cartero. Now, El Cartero is a decent officer, don't get me wrong. We do now have the new one, which is an upgraded version of him. So, skill training wise, we have got 22.5%. Now, it's better than, you know, the average 15 or even the 20 boosted, but it is only to tanks and helicopters. So, with that being said, you're very limited on what you can attack to get this additional. So, again, HP 30%, cruising speed 10%. Out of all of them, this is going to be your best option for skill training, but it's situational. You do need to have a potential Martyrs bomber or a Vanguard bomber, but this would probably work a little bit better on a Marty bomber because Marty bomber is going to focus on tanks and helicopters and potentially some other units, but the Vanguard bomber is more artillery style for bombing. So yeah, that's probably going to be your best option available. Moving on, I've unlocked this guy. Again, I'm only using his skills at level 1 just because I have to. We have 15%, firepower 10%, useless, 15% damage resist, and then healing coefficient 500. The main thing that makes him really strong is his actual, like, skill here, and then his, you know, awakened skill. The actual skills in here are useless, if I'm honest with you. They're pretty bad. And yeah, if you're using him for skill training, bad choice, bad choice. I'd say just the damage resist one, guys. The damage resist is going to be your best option here, but even then, I wouldn't try and level it up just for this reason only. Moving on, we have got Polar Phantom. Now, Polar Phantom, he's used by a lot of people, but I don't personally like him too much. Now, he does have damage intensity of officers fighter plane troop against other fighters by 25%. That's a nice bit of damage. But it reduces the damage intensity against enemy bombers by 5%. So, is it worth you losing out 5%? Potentially. Potentially, it could be a good option if it's your only thing left. You also have cruising speed, not very good, and a HP of that. So, yeah, if you're going to use any skill training, guys, this is going to be the one you want to use. But, of course, you will be doing a little bit less damage to bombers. But again, I still think it's a decent skill, and this is going to be the one you want to use, if anything. We are moving on to the last ones now, and these are all exclusive lounge, so we probably won't be using these when it comes to skill training. You're probably going to be using these as an officer itself, but out of all of this option, 50% intercept is amazing. We have 10% damage, we have firepower 20, and then critical strike rate of 20. This is going to be the one you want to use, if anything. You can, you know, if you can only get one skill, this is probably going to be it. Every time your fighter plane destroys another fighter plane, you have a 30% chance of increasing the critical strike rate of the normal attacks by 20%. It's one of those things that this is an officer you just want to have. You don't want to just get one skill with this officer. Moving on, we have Mischief. She is a bomber officer. Now, we have damage intensity of 35% when attacking troops. We have normal officer boost of 25%, and we have normal attack boost of 25%, and then we have bombing efficiency of 15% and HP of 30%. Out of these options here, this is a nice little skill, you know, officer skill boost 25, normal attack boost 25. So you're basically getting 25% damage. This one here is 35% damage, and that's it. It's 35% damage, but only against troops. This will be 25% damage against troops and against bases. So, overall, if you're only going for units, this will be your better option. But if you are bombing bases, this will be your better option out of skill training. Moving on, we have got Fleeting Arrow. Again, Fleeting Arrow is a really good officer. But actually, when it comes to this, obviously I've done the tests. We've already made a video on it. This officer here is very, very strong. But because we have Silver Fox and Nagarani, she's basically just as good as them, even though she's an exclusive lounge officer. We've already done the testing. If you have Fleeting Arrow and you have Silver Fox, or you have Silver Fox and Nagarani, they basically perform the same. So maybe this officer here, if you don't have her and you want one of her skills, this is probably going to be one of the exclusive lounge officers that has the potential for going for one skill and one skill only. So here, we've got damage intensity of 3%, but it can stack up to 10 times, which means you can get up to 30% damage. Now, again, this is whenever you dodge an enemy attack, which dodging does happen quite frequently. The next one here, we have got damage intensity of 12.5%, and we have damage resist of 12.5%. This is huge. This is an amazingly good skill, very rare to have. But again, it's one of those things of, do you want to really go for one skill and one skill only? And finally, intercept resilience of 65%. This here is probably going to be the best option out of them, but it is a protection. So as we know, there's already a lot of protection skills. There aren't many balanced skills, so this here is going to be very nice to have. But this is a very high amount. 65% is crazy. So it's up to you, really. When it comes to skill training, these two are going to be your better options. I'm probably going to lean more towards the intercept resilience buff just because it's such a high amount. But this here, if you get this, I wouldn't say, you went with the wrong skill. This is still a very good option. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the skill training. There wasn't many of them, of course. It is only a couple. One day, when they bring out a few more officers, and one day when they release the skill training, which obviously still isn't available, and I agree they shouldn't bring it out yet, it's too soon, but when they do eventually bring out skill training for the naval, I will make a video talking about all the different skill trainings that should be used on naval units as well. I hope this video helped you. Please let me know down in the comments if you disagree with any of my options. But if you try and disagree to say that Golden Pixie isn't the worst officer in the air, I'm going to delete your message. No one will know that you are disagreeing with me. I'm joking, guys. But no, jokes aside, I appreciate you all. Hope everyone has an absolutely beautiful and amazing day. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, hit the like button on this video and share it to your friends. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.